The current pandemic has completely transformed a lot of industries. While the technology sector was easy to adopt work from home, some of the traditional industries have had a different set of challenges. So today I have with me my guest, Dipankar Ghosh. He is the CHRO for Bajaj Consumer Care, who will be sharing his insights on how they see the future of workplaces in their segment. Welcome, Dipankar. Really nice to have you here.
Thank you, Karthik. It was a pleasure.
So, Dipankar, pandemic completely brought a lot of things to standstill. Companies had to rethink how they had to kind of operate and be ready for this new normal, like they say. So, for tech companies, it was very easy to move to work from home, right? But traditional sector like yours, what were some of the challenges that you encountered during that period, and what are some of the changes that it has brought into the system as a result of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we, as we call it, a very classical brick and mortar organization. We have a manufacturing location where I must say things haven't changed much despite the pandemic. The manufacturing has to go. Obviously, we had been introducing robotics, introducing more automated work in the manufacturing. But prima facie, if I look at workforce, the way they operated remains mostly same. We have a very large field force, the sales field force, which really have to go out in the market 7 days a week to make sure that our products are placed and distributed all across the retail universe. That also haven't changed. There were only restrictions. There were periods where people could not go due to lockdown, but the moment it opened up, and it is opening up as we speak, they are going back to their normal.
Okay.
Our corporate office and our regional office obviously went through changes. Obviously, there was this huge work from home, remote working, virtual meetings, all of that happened. I think we will again probably start going through a hybrid workplace very soon. So I think that adjustment happened. But one fundamental paradigm that has changed is the way you think and operate. Fundamentally, workplace design has changed. Technically, it may appear we are probably going back to the normal. I think pandemic helped us at a very fundamental level rethink the way we look at workplace, rethink the way we manage ambiguity, rethink the way we were used to looking at probable challenges in the workplace. Availability of manpower can be a big issue for a country where manpower always is abundant. I don't think, and I'm talking here of blue collar manpower.
Correct.
I don't think we ever thought of it because that was the most easiest thing to get in India. So that is something now we know that's a challenge and an enterprise risk that we need to solve.
Right. So
mobility, we thought is not an issue in this globally connected world. We realize mobility is an issue and you need to be virtually connected. Availability of having a digitally ready workforce, we thought it will be gradual, incremental. Suddenly we realize it has to be immediate. It has to be disruptive. So I think the fundamental thinking has changed. You were asking something.
Yeah. No, that's right. I think fundamentals itself got altered completely with the way this happened. So that poses a new challenge as well for HR leaders, right? In the way you will design the new workplace itself, and with that comes your policies. How will those be, and how will the performance evaluations happen? How will your goals and objectives be looked at? So what are some things which you think where organizations, and especially like the traditional brick and mortar kind of organizations that you belong to, when they are going to redesign the workplace, what are some things which they need to keep in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing is when the pandemic came, we made certain changes very rapidly
Hmm.
without even sometime thinking
Hmm.
about it thoroughly.
Hmm.
Now is the time for us now to get into granular details of all the changes that
Hmm.
we made during that period in a jiffy.
Okay.
And now we are in the process of relooking at what we are doing,
Hmm.
what is sustainable,
Hmm.
what needs to be scaled down,
Hmm.
what needs to be scaled up, depending on our geographic footprint, what kind of adjustment that we need to do,
Hmm.
what kind of reskilling that we need to do to adapt us to the new normal, which
Correct.
is fit for purpose,
Yeah.
and also which is fit for the current transition, the new configuration of workplace that we are bringing in,
Correct.
and also bridging digital divide. And I
Hmm.
will give you some examples on that.
Yes. Yes.
Prior to the pandemic, we had a work from home policy.
Hmm.
Now that work from home policy now is getting into work from anywhere, where
Yeah.
we are coming up with policies where we are saying for a fixed period of the year, maybe 1 month in a year, those employees who do not need to come to office regularly
Hmm.
can actually opt to work from anywhere in the world.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's I would say, a benefit which is neither a leave, not a work, something in
Correct.
between. You
Yeah.
work from anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's one of the critical change which I don't think we have ever thought of 1.5 years back.
Correct. Correct.
The work from home part says, so what we are saying is, uh, you need to come to office. There has to be a hybrid model.
Hmm.
However, it will be in reduced frequency, but in
Hmm.
a defined frequency,
Hmm.
which means you probably would have a roster kind of a work arrangement, the
Hmm.
way we used to do it in manufacturing areas always.
Correct.
Even
Correct.
corporate office will have roster availability.
Hmm.
Probably corporate office will work in shift. You
Hmm.
will probably see one function of a corporate office working in first shift, and the second function, if they don't have synergy, they are not required to have synergy working in second shift, which means your workplace area will be reduced.
Correct.
They will be more interconnected, and we are actually working on this policy around work from anywhere, workplace which has a reduced frequency but a
Hmm.
predefined frequency.
Hmm.
The second part is on health and wellness.
Yeah.
There is a So far as an organization, we had been happy providing only reactive medical support,
Correct.
which is your health insurance, term lives, and all of that. We have clearly now moving into proactive,
Hmm.
comprehensive well-being support
Hmm. Hmm.
around mental well-being,
Hmm.
around proactive checking,
Hmm.
around providing telemedicine to all the employees, making health checkup mandatory. I
Hmm.
think some of these things definitely as a policy we are trying to make.
Okay. Okay.
The other part is, how do we do lot of our activity through apps, and making sure even the last mile
Yeah.
have digital knowledge.
Hmm.
Today we are thinking of having a app. If we have this reduced office but predefined office frequency, you can book your office slot through an app,
Hmm. Hmm.
and if you get a green signal, then only you come to office. So everything is like on an order and not on the tap. So
Correct.
it's getting customized. So
Correct.
these are clearly some of the changes that we are looking at.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, from a digital standpoint, there's going to be a lot of acceleration that's going to happen, right? So, like you're talking about apps becoming an integral part of, how you even operate certain things. And I think, especially if you look at it from the hybrid work model, where some people are in office while some are working from anywhere in the world. Our research was also showing that a lot of employees are concerned, saying if I'm operating remotely, will my performance be gauged on par with somebody who's visiting office regularly and working there? Will there be any bias that will come into picture there? So what are your thoughts on some of those concerns which employees?
I have been reading reports around some companies contemplating around that if your work do not require coming to office at all, and you can probably stay remote and maybe come once or twice in the office, probably you will be offered reduced pay compared to one who is actually required to come to office. And that brings to me the other point that we were talking about is we will, and we have done this study, we will get into a 2x2 matrix. And what is that 2x2 matrix? One is work which inherently need much more physical proximity and work which inherently do not need physical proximity. So typically for us, sales and manufacturing will require physical proximity because you have to be in the field, you are more exposed. And of that, manufacturing will be more physical proximity because they work in closed indoors, unlike sales. Whereas our corporate office or people who are white collar employees, their physical proximity is less. So that's the 2 quadrant. The other 2 quadrant is work which is routine and repetitive and work which require brain power or intellectual power. So that is the other 2 matrix. Now clearly work which requires physical proximity and intellectual power, the 4th quadrant, the 2, 2 quadrant, they would clearly have a big uptick in terms of the way you manage that population. Whereas work which have lesser physical impact and is routine and repetitive and less intellectual in nature will probably be compromised. And hence the shared service, the BPO service, service which can be converted into an assembly line operation, a remote assembly line. I see clearly compensation, rewards, benefit policy getting disproportionately lower for that category, whereas for the other quadrant it is becoming disproportionately higher. And that's a clear mapping that organizations are doing and we are doing. And when we are now mapping critical roles, this is one additional factor that is coming into play.
Very interesting.
We have to wait and see how it pans out in next 2 to 3 years.
Very interesting. The other factor which also contributes to this entire complexity is the demographics of the workforce itself, right? So far we had millennials who formed a large part. Now we have the Gen Z who will come into it. So you have different generations who are now going to be working more close, and especially the newer generations, their thought process and orientation, everything is very different from how traditionally things have operated, right? Especially from a leadership or a manager's perspective, where it was all top-down driven. These guys come from a different mindset altogether. So how do you see organizations balancing that out and leaders adopting to this new change?
I would be a bit futuristic on this so far as India is concerned. I think India right now, post-independence, already have a huge population who have retired, who have post their sunset, or who have taken early retirement, but physically, mentally, and capability-wise, they can be exploited even more. I think this whole issue of Gen X giving way to Gen Y, giving way to Gen Z, hopefully would change, where age and demographic divide will not be the determinant. The determinant will be your ability to adapt, your ability to provide the niche skills rather than anything else. And hence, and again, the point that I was making, that the moment you have requirement of remote workforce who are technologically skilled but can work remote, and probably gig workforce or people who may have passed their sunrise years, would probably get prominence more, because I would be looking at somebody who can provide me a particular job within a given period of time, and he may not be a full-time employee for us. As long as my output is there, and I am reminded of that movie of Intern, Robert De Niro and Anna Hathaway. I think those kind of workforce in Indian formal employment haven't happened. And I'm expecting that to come in next 5 to 10 years. Because today we also have a pipeline of such resource who can be a great resource for some of these startups, some of these new age organizations which are coming up. Because they give you the wisdom, they give you also the benefits of economics.
Interesting, very interesting. And it was really interesting you brought about that example of Intern, because that's very apt, the way this trend that you foresee to happen. My last question, Dipankar, is technology is now becoming a very integral part of business operations itself, and it will from an HR function as well. So how do you see HR community kind of scaling up to be ready for this digital journey that's going to happen? And what are some pointers that they need to keep in mind when they do this digital first company kind of an approach, but it is still people centric?
Two things. One, the kind of digital technology available today in the marketplace, so far as HR processes are concerned, is mind-boggling. There are too many products available.
Correct.
And most of them are not great products. We are really going through a learning journey. I can pick up names, but that won't be appropriate. Fact of the matter is we have too many products available, and most of them may not be solving what we really need. So HR technology is coming. We are in a mad rush of adapting technology for every processes that we run, and that is welcome, and that is what should happen. However, what we really need to understand is which part of that technology has to take care and which part of that human being only have to take care. And that's a very clear divide that we need, that as CHROs have to keep in mind.
Correct.
The business partnering, the advisory role that HR do for today themselves clearly is going for an uptick, and that is where HR can add value. And the routine, repetitive, service-oriented work that we do really is something that the bots and the apps have to take care of. And hence, for upcoming HR professionals, they have to realize that the future for them lies in partnering and advising the business, and not really getting into that part of human resource which actually can be very well automated. That's not where their career take them. And I'm saying that when I see my team members, some of them, and I keep telling them that, look, you have to realize what is the core thing that you need to focus on, because many of the things that you today do probably will be tomorrow taken over by somebody, by a robot, by a machine. RPA, robotic process automation, is a big thing even on HR automation.
Correct. So I think having that foresight and then playing that advisor and consultative role while leveraging the technology tools and apps which are available will be the future for HR. So thanks, Dipankar. It was really nice talking to you, and got some very interesting perspectives. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Karthik. It was a pleasure.